What is up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about the ever so popular DRT Klash Swimbaits. The ones that I have today that I'm going to be showing you guys are the Klash Ghost, the Klash 9, and the Tiny Klash. I don't carry a Klash Joker with me. I'm just not a huge topwater fan, but that is another great bait that DRT makes. So today I'm going to be talking about the ways that I like to fish all of my DRT baits that I have and the different ways that some people may or may not already be familiar with. So let's get right into the video. So the very first mode that I like to use for all of my baits is just the plain regular glide mode. The glide mode just means that there is no lip in the bait whatsoever, and the tail, the regular tail that it comes with, it's pointing downwards. So there's two different sides to the tail. There's one side where it's ribbed and the other side that's smooth. The smooth side is facing up while the rib side is staying down. And this is glide mode. This is it right here. And it's just a very simple mode. This is obviously the mode, as the name implies, is where you glide it. And it cuts back and forth, it darts side to side, and it's very erratic. It's not like your 250 where it's that predictable slide, 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 you know. This is very back, forth, back, forth, you know. It's just all over the place. The way that I describe the K9 in the glide mode is like a jerk bait. It's very just erratic. It goes back and forth in every which way, and you can fish it so many different ways. You can do, you know, glide, 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 stop, glide, glide. You can also do something called the one-sided glide, where it'll glide to the side and just go that way. It's really cool. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this bait in this mode, and I've had most, if not all, of my success in this mode from urban spots all the way out to the lakes. This mode gets bit, especially on the K9. I've had most of my success on the K9 in the glide mode. Now the Tiny Klash in the glide mode, it's way more erratic than the K9. I feel like I have way more control with the K9 than I do with the Tiny Klash in glide mode, just because it's super small and there's less room for error, and your twitches and the way that you reel, it has to be lighter just because it's a smaller, lighter bait. So with this one, it's way more erratic. So this one's like a super jerk bait. It's like da 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 da, and it's just back and forth. You can do the same thing though with the K9 that you can do with this bait. It's just with the Tiny Klash, it's just a lot harder to overall control. So I don't fish the Tiny Klash in the glide mode that often. The only time that I really do is when I see that they're keying in on smaller shad and that they're busting top water. Then that's pretty much when I'll pick up something like this. Now for the Klash Ghost, you can fish the regular style tail that will come with it, but the V tail, which is this style tail, is made more designed to be for the gliding mode for the Klash Ghost. And the thing with the Klash Ghost, to make it even into a glide mode, you normally have to put pads. The bait comes with two sets of pads that you would put here, and you can put it in. I've already done a Klash Ghost video. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you guys wanted to see that. And you have to just put something there to block it, because without it, there'd be too much joint movement. And so the way that I have it, I have like these little door stopper, whatever you want to call them, pads in there. And so it limits the joint movement. So it's more like a glide bait. So this thing looks pretty money with this tail or even with the regular old tail. And it's a badass bait. Okay, so the second favorite mode of mine is just the cranking mode. And now the cranking mode, it will have a lip in it, as well as the tail is switched. Now the rib side is up and the smooth side is down, which is called mode A. So lip in mode A is cranking mode. And in cranking mode, it is very much just like that, a crankbait, and it just goes back and forth like this in the water. And lately, at least for this year, on a particular body of water, I've been fishing the cranking mode lately, where I'll just throw it out there, I'll crank it down, stop it, twitch it, crank it again, and as soon as I pick up the crank again, fish are just hitting it. So it's been awesome for me lately in this cranking mode, and it's such a badass style. So from where I'm fishing a rock wall, I can easily switch and go fish a rocky bank and crank it down and hit some rocks. So this is my second favorite mode for both the Klash 9 and the Tiny Klash. And it's the same exact thing with the Tiny Klash. Lip in, tail is in mode A, and This thing is super erratic. Just a little crankbait, just burns down. A lot of head wobble, a lot of tail wobble. And this is one of my favorite ways to fish this bait. Awesome little crankbait style little swim bait, so it's awesome. And then when it comes down to the Klash Ghost, they got this big ass lip here in the front made for diving. The joint pads are still in there, and then you want to keep the V-tail as well. And apparently what DRT says that this bait can get down to like 18, 19 feet, which is actually kind of ridiculous for this bait. So at this point, you're just throwing an oversized 10XD crankbait. So super badass. It's got a pretty tight wobble. A lot of it for the Klash Ghost, it's more just head motion. The tail doesn't do a whole lot in the back, but overall, I think it's still such a sick way to fish this bait as well. And now, one of the last ways that I really do like fishing these baits is called yotamaki, which stands for wobble and roll. And that's exactly what this bait does in the water. So you got a lip in. I like to use the roll lip. I think you can really use any lip that you want, but with the roll lip, it does get the bait down a little bit deeper. And then you also have to use the V-tail. So what this does is when you throw it out there, it's just a very subtle wobble and roll back to the boat. So it's just like this in the water. And it's very, very popular in Japan. A lot of dudes have been using yotamaki to catch some of the bigger fish that have been caught on the DRT baits. Now with my yotamaki style, this bait's made just for that, is I've got two tungsten strips down here that I like to use. So it just keeps the bait down a little bit further. And because I like to fish this on the bottom in deeper water, so with those strips and like 20-pound fluorocarbon, the bait stays down, but it's still buoyant enough that if I hit a rock, it'll just kind of bounce over and keep going. So for the tiny Klash, I like to use a minnow lip as well as just the V-tail as well. And now with the tiny Klash in the yotamaki form, I've caught way more fish yotamaki style with the tiny Klash than I have in the Klash 9. I don't know why, but the way that this thing works on the water and just the size of it, it's just perfect for what I like to fish around. I'm fishing the yotamaki around rocks, waterfalls, grass, anywhere like that, and this little bait gets the job done. I fish the tiny Klash in the yotamaki form way more than any other mode that I use for the tiny Klash, so this thing is a gem. And now with both baits, what's really cool with the shorter style lips, it's called dead walking or dead walk. And what dead walk means is when you twitch the bait and it just goes like this, back and forth. And it looks really, really sick in the water. And so I use the dead walk if I'm fishing around super tight cover and I want the bait to stay in the strike zone for longer. Then I'm just gonna illustrate the dead walk, which is just light twitches and the bait will just go back and forth. And that works on both the tiny Klash and the Klash 9 in the yotamaki form. And I met up with my buddy KZ the other day and we were just talking about the Klash 9 and I got some of his opinion on why he thinks the Klash baits are so unique and so versatile. So KZ, why do you think the DRT baits are so unique and so popular?
I think the reason why they are so popular is you could do so many things to the one bait. So I think if you're like a bank fisherman, then you don't really want to carry a lot of stuff. That's the timing that, you know, DRT baits comes in handy. For example, like here's the lip. You could take it in or take it out depending on how you want to use it, or you could just change the tail. There are two different tails that are available right now. Combined with those parts, and this bait's gonna do like so many different actions. So that eliminates the carrying a bunch of different stuff with you, and I think that's the reason why I like about this DRT product.
Let me know what you guys think about the Klash baits. Do you like them? Do you hate them? What do you think about them? Obviously, they're really hard to find just because they are still more sourced out in Japan than they are over here. DRT USA does a great job on providing us guys over here in the US with baits, with apparel, with, you know, lips and tails, as much as obviously he has control over. But even then, it just doesn't seem to supply the demand that's out there for these awesome baits. Kind of sucks, but that's just how it is. But if you guys can find any of these baits from the Tiny Klash, Klash 9, or even the Klash Ghost, I'd pick one up and give it a shot. Huge shout out to Joseph for giving me the video idea. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, go out there and chase your dreams.